Come on in.
I love the logo.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Beautiful office. Now tell me a little bit about your company.
Oh, it's Actum Realty. We're a residential real estate brokerage, dabble in some commercial, deal with both investors and consumers. The name Actum means transaction in Latin because our focus is not just on finding people a great home, but getting them a great deal. So.
And you are a broker too.
I am the designated broker. A designated broker means that I'm the chief broker of Actum Realty. Every contract that comes to the brokerage, I have to sign off on. We have 3 brokers here, and then I've got an executive assistant who Christmas vacation. So I'm the boss. That means that I don't get a vacation because we got to get the end of year tax payments done. So got to get the payroll taxes submitted before the end of Q4 so we can get the W-2s out on time.
And as a broker, what you do is you work with individual people when they want different houses or different buildings or different properties in different areas. And you're basically the helpful hand that helps them negotiate the deal, writes up the paperwork, and helps them move into their new property.
That's the short version. The best explanation I can give is that we do business via agency. When you're doing business via agency, it means that you're literally taking somebody else's interests into account, not just attempting to sell them something. So we're fiduciary agents, which means that I have to make sure that you get the best possible advice and then you understand the consequences and the cost of every decision you make, in addition to helping you compare and contrast what might be a better option. And sometimes that means giving people hard advice like, you can't afford this place, or I don't think this is a great neighborhood. So.
And you help the buyer work with the lender.
To a degree. So lenders don't have the same fiduciary responsibility, so they owe folks the same level of duty and of care as a car salesman. So they can get you to sign whatever you will sign, so long as they don't commit outright fraud. They don't have to always give you the best deal. So we, a good broker, and we at Actum Realty make sure that we're always helping our folks shop. So.
And so you work hand in hand with the buyer.
Buyers and sellers. My business used to primarily consist of sellers. I started out focusing on folks who had previously failed to sell their home. Due to the way the system works, it's actually easy to identify homes that have failed to sell. And so we would cold call those folks and say, hey, we can do it. I know you failed last time, but we can get it done. And so I built my business off the backs of selling homes that other folks failed. I have a 90% success rate doing that. This year, in the middle of the pandemic, I expanded to focusing on more buyers. Usually if I worked with a buyer, it was because I sold their home and they needed to move, or it was a referral. Now I'm actually doing more business with Zillow since I've hired a showing broker, and I've got another independent broker and an assistant just kind of generating leads. I mostly spend my time working the deal, doing the thinking and strategizing. I'll meet with folks to assess a listing, and I'll do a second showing or an inspection. But for the most part, I'm on the phone or on Zoom instead of showing every house. I've got somebody else that does that. So.
Like we had a property in Mercer Island. We had 5 lots and lots of houses. And you would be the one that would see that our property was on the market for a long time. Then you would come in and tell us the different things that we should change.
Well, if it left the market, if you do it while it's on the market, that's known as soliciting an active listing or soliciting a cancel.
We were off the market. We went on the market,
exactly.
And we went off the market, and you would come in and you would help us like change the window panes and do a little improvement so that we could sell our house.
Right. So if, in all honesty, you would get calls from quite a few people. And at first you might set a few interviews, then you would get annoyed. And then whomever you interviewed with, we would be competing to earn your business. And you would get some presentations. And then, yes, I would be somebody who would throw my hat in and say, here's what I would do differently, or here's what I think happened wrong. Whenever I do those presentations, I try to avoid being a Monday morning quarterback because anybody can, look at something from hindsight. Instead, I just try to stay, positive and focus on what I can do differently instead of what was wrong. Because sometimes something might be wrong or it might not have an impact, but you really can't do anything different. So.
And the thing that's nice about your firm is you're up here in Noel Co-working, you're in Pioneer Building, you're in Pioneer Square, and you're accessible.
Yeah, I like being in Pioneer Square. I moved in here when I started my company. I've been in real estate for more than 6 years, but I started my company last year because I saw that Pioneer Square was up and coming. And with the Alaskan Way Viaduct coming down, there's going to be lots of waterfront condos coming up. And I wanted to be in this community before those came up. And I thought I would expand into that section. It's unfortunate what the pandemic has kind of done, but a lot of folks aren't giving up on this area, and they're understanding that things will change for the better. And so I'm just staying here. I like working here. I like being in, this is arguably one of the oldest buildings in Seattle. There's a little debate between a few buildings. There's a lot of history with the founder of the Historical Society. The Pioneer building was actually the first building to be preserved by the Historical Society. Correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it was the first building to be preserved after a building across the street was torn down. And that was actually Bill Spadell. He was the founder of the original Underground Tour and a famous historian of Seattle. And he actually started that. So there's a ton of history in this building. And I like that. I used to sell vintage cars. And so I love the vintage aesthetic. And so when I walked in and I toured, 6 co-working places and about 4 office spaces before I made my choice on Novel. Also, we used to get free beer, which was really good. And they changed it up often. So I'm hoping that makes it come back soon.
Me too. I'm in the building too. I'm your neighbor down the hall. And it's so beautiful. The window spaces and how spacious the offices are. And I just wanted to say thank you. I met your wife the other day and she designed the logo beautifully. And you guys are just a nice working couple, and you really care about who comes in the door. Whether we're a buyer or a seller, I really like your attitude of, come to me, I'll help you, I'll tell you what your options are, and I'll tell you whether or not whatever we can do. And so give us your name again.
My name is Joe Fanelli. I am the designated broker of Actum Realty. We're over here at 600 First Avenue, Suite 601.
Thank you very much.
And that's ACTUM Realty. So actumrealty.com.
Thank you.
I could whip out one of my cards. Oh, here's one of my brokers. That's Victor. You could just look at Victor's card.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And then I have your card right here.
Oh, you do? Good, because I was about to whip it out. Yeah, that's all of our information.
So thanks, Joe, for taking the time to meet with me. My show is called Public Interest Issue Show.
Okay.
And I really appreciate hearing a little bit about what brokers do, what your company does, how you help either the seller or the buyer, and you help build them the best deal that they can do. And you look into different options, and you help them in every aspect of the real estate business.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to give another interview. It's not really complex once you understand all of the different mechanisms that are involved in these types of deals. But it's more complex than most folks would realize, because we can't just sell you anything that you'll buy. We have to first advise you. I like to tell people when I'm interviewing for a listing, or even when I'm interviewing with a buyer, that I am here for the job. I want you to hire me for the job of selling your house via agency. And that means quite a bit to me. Agency is a real mechanism that we have to really abide by. And if you don't obey the principles of it, then you can get in a lot of trouble, or you end up with bad feelings. A good broker is never calling the shots. A good broker is just the buffer between you and the other side, and we're the ones helping you stay unemotional. So.
And you also help us in the future. Whether we're buying or selling a house, you help us as long as we are going to do anything in the marketplace.
Right. Well, at the top of the game,
contact you.
Right. Sorry to mean to talk over you. At the top of the game, we are all the same. And so the only difference between one great broker and another is relationship, because you can only get so good when it's, you know, a matter of using tact and empowering people to make the best decision for themselves. Because a great negotiator only helps folks make decisions. We don't make them for you. We illuminate the options, and then we might be able to use a little bit of skill. I mean, I just did a deal today, it's coming together, where my client was ready to sign at one price, and I said, you know, I think we can get another $1,500, and lo and behold, we did. So
nice. So you look after them. They're your clients, and they're your interest.
Right, and I always want to get a little bit more, because that's the pride in the job. That's where you have fun. That's where you get to feel like a little bit more than just a salesman, where you're actually getting just a little bit better of a deal for folks so that they know that you're on their side.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Thanks for being on my show.